Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome to Leisrealtalk. Happy weekend. For the past 2 days, the whole world has been talking about rare earth and US-China trade war. Today, let's get to the bottom of that. Just 2 days ago, on Thursday night, I talked about the widespread rumor that Xi Jinping had suffered a stroke and was hospitalized. I laid out 4 possible scenarios, from it being a rumor fabricated by the anti-Xi faction to a staged fake stroke by Xi's own camp as a comeback strategy to a genuine medical emergency. At the time, I said the most likely scenario was that Xi really was ill. And guess what? Right after that, Beijing suddenly made a drastic move by playing the rare earth card, sending US-China relations into a tailspin. The shift was so abrupt that it infuriated President Trump, who has vowed to hit back with an additional 100% tariff on Chinese goods. So the whole world is now talking about rare earth and how Trump has been played by Xi Jinping over the trade talks and fake promises. Well, tonight I'd like to offer a slightly different view. I shouldn't say slightly. I would like to offer a different view. I think the latest development may be good for the US because it exposed CCP's vulnerability. The CCP may have just inadvertently confirmed Xi Jinping's health crisis. His people are likely using these heavy-handed tactics to remind everyone that Xi Jinping is still in charge and to silence growing rumors that he's gravely ill. Even if Xi isn't ill, this drastic escalation looks like a panicking effort by Xi's camp to hold on to power before the Fourth Plenum. However, the move might have just sealed his fate. So stay with me until the end as I build my case. It's very detailed, but it's step by step. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so right now. October, I promise, is going to be an eventful month when it comes to China news and CCP politics. So subscribe if you haven't. Okay, let me first tell you what China did over the last 2 days. On Thursday, October the 9th, Beijing dropped a bombshell. China's Ministry of Commerce suddenly announced a major expansion of rare earth export controls, adding 5 more elements to the restricted list. So from now on, any foreign company that uses China's rare earth will face strict scrutiny, and even deals that have nothing to do with Chinese companies will still require Beijing's approval. And this will start on December 1st. So starting December 1st, any product containing more than 0.1% of China-sourced rare earths or made with Chinese extraction, refining, magnet making, or recycling technology any company must obtain an export license before, any product, I shouldn't say any company, any product must obtain an export license before leaving the country. So with these new restrictions, the total number of rare earth metals under control jumps to 12. So remember, China controls about 70% of the world's rare earth supply. Materials critical for cars, defense systems, and high-tech industries like semiconductors. And then that's not it. And then on Friday, Beijing doubled down. CCP announced an antitrust investigation into US chip giant Qualcomm. And the moment the news broke, Qualcomm's stock plunged more than 4%. And that wasn't all. On the same day, China's Ministry of Transport said that starting next Tuesday, that's the 14th, it will impose a special port service fee on ships owned, built, operated, or even flagged by the United States. So these back-to-back punches show that Beijing made a 180-degree flip on trade policy, launching what I call a surprise Pearl Harbor-style economic strike against the United States. Naturally, That infuriated President Trump. On Friday, he blasted Beijing in a post saying the CCP had long plotted to monopolize the rare earth market and was now using export restrictions to hold the world hostage, something the US, he said, would never allow. And in his posts, Trump hinted at a major turning point in US-China relations. He wrote that the two countries had enjoyed 6 good months of stable ties, but Beijing's latest actions were shocking and would clog global markets, hurting almost every nation, including China. So you wonder what has happened. Clearly, these aggressive moves are the complete opposite of the friendly signals Beijing had been sending to Beijing in the past several weeks. Because China has been making clear signals or clear concessions. First was the TikTok deal. It was sold to the US at a lightning speed and also at nearly half price, with Beijing even making major compromises on its algorithm. Second, while attending the UN General Assembly in New York, Premier Li Qiang publicly announced that China would give up its developing country status at the WTO. Third, in a private meeting with US business leaders and think tank figures, Premier Li revived Wang Yang's old expression, the US-China marriage or couple analogy, suggesting that the two countries should coexist, complement each other, rather than compete like a couple. But then overnight, Beijing flipped, right? So Trump was furious and declared that there was no reason to meet Xi Jinping at APEC. Now, I don't even think Xi Jinping will show up at APEC, but we'll save that for later. And just hours later, Trump fired back. Starting November 1, the US will impose 100% tariffs on Chinese goods and ban exports of all key software technologies to China. And this banning of key software is more damning than the 100% tariffs. So this sudden turn of events is baffling, right? And it triggered a wide range of discussions by experts, amateurs like myself, media outlets. And some people say Trump has been played by Xi Jinping. Actually, I just had a subscriber who sent me an email, actually 3 emails, saying that he felt that Trump has been played by Xi. Now, in my opinion, something this big and this dramatic looks very strange. You have to understand, the CCP is a political animal. It's not an economic or it's a political animal by nature. So something clearly is happening behind the scenes in Beijing. So what exactly is going on? Now, let's first look at what Beijing's sudden change of heart could mean, right? Let's just step back and look at all the possibilities before jumping to any conclusions. So it suggests that there are now 2 opposing lines inside the CCP leadership. One line wants, or one faction wants to ease tensions with the US, make promises, make compromises, I should say, reduce external pressure, and slowly ride out the economic storm. And that's what we've seen in the past few months. The other one wants to go head to head, retaliate equally, or even escalate. And they'd rather lose 3,000 to kill 300. That's the Chinese expression. And that's what we saw in the past 2 days. And we also know that Xi Jinping and his opponents hold very different views when it comes to Sino-US relations. And Xi Jinping is the hardliner camp, and his opponents are more friendly. So in short, between the Xi camp and then the anti-Xi camp, one plays the good cop and the other plays the bad cop. But who's playing which role? Right? Now there are only 3 possibilities. The first possibility is that Xi Jinping himself is playing both faces, good cop and bad cop, meaning everything that we've seen, this back and forth, is part of Xi Jinping's playbook to gain leverage with Trump at the negotiation table. And that's what a lot of people in the United States believe, that this is all Xi Jinping's game playing with Trump. That's possibility number one. Possibility number two is the party elders want to repair relations with the US, but Xi insists on fighting the West, defying them outright. And the third possibility is the party elders, now in full control, or I shouldn't say in full control, now in control, are playing both sides, using Xi Jinping as a scapegoat to take the heat while they sit back and reap the benefits of a good negotiation with Trump. So which is most likely, right? There are only these three possibilities. Personally, I think the first scenario is not likely because that would require Xi Jinping to still have full control, which clearly contradicts all the evidence we've seen. It would also require him to have full confidence in foreign affairs, which he doesn't. And given Xi's blunt personality, even if he wanted to soften up, he'd never use Wang Yang's couple or marriage metaphor, the very phrase that he despised or despises. The third scenario also doesn't make much sense. If the party elders let Xi Jinping play the monster while they profit behind the scenes, it's too risky and nearly impossible. Sorry, I just want to, can people hear me? I just want to make sure all of a sudden I'm concerned with my audio. Yes, hello? Can someone say something about my, I hear you. Okay, all right, good. Oh, yes, yes, all right. Oh, lovely. How wonderful people respond overwhelmingly. Yeah, Lei have this fear that I could have been talking for like an hour without turning on the mic or something. Oh, the mic is on. All right. Okay, so where were we? All right, we were just talking about the three possibilities, right? We're talking about the three possibilities. The first possibility that Xi Jinping has played this good cop and bad cop all by himself is not likely. It's because he doesn't have the control, the level of control to pull that one off. And then the third scenario, which is saying that the party elders, his opponents, let Xi Jinping play the bad guy, the bad cop, while they play the good cop, and they try to benefit from behind the scenes. Now, this is also impossible because it's too risky and nearly impossible to execute. Because to pull it off, they'd need absolute control over Xi Jinping and his entire network. And even then, they'd be gambling that Trump wouldn't hit back really hard. If Trump lashes out, the damage could be irreversible. And also, that's not the style of people like Wen Jiabao and Wang Yang. So that leaves us only one possible answer. It is Xi Jinping's camp making this 180-degree turn on the surface against the will of the party elders, who have been trying to mend relations with Washington in the past couple of months. But why? Well, the key lies in the timing. Think about it. It's just 10 days before the CCP's Fourth Plenum. It's in the middle of damaging rumors that Xi could step down at the plenum. It's while China's Premier Li Qiang is away in North Korea, and right when speculation about Xi Jinping's health getting feverish. And remember, on the very day the rare earth restrictions were announced, which was Thursday, the rumor that Xi had suffered a stroke was all over social media outside China. It's very likely that this is a desperate move by Xi's team to conceal his health crisis. To prove Xi Jinping is still actively in charge, they had to roll out policies that bear his personal signature, right? Heavy-handed, hardline measures that scream Xi Jinping all over. And these actions may look irrational, but that's because the motive behind them is desperation. So now you may ask, well, wait a minute. Didn't you just say that Xi Jinping has lost power to the party elders and that a group called the Central Decision-Making and Coordination Team now sits above him? Yes, I did say that. And you may say, if that's true, how could Xi Jinping pull off such a major policy shift on his own? Excellent question. Let me explain. And this is very important. If you want to understand what's really happening in Beijing, in Zhongnanhai, then the next 5 minutes or maybe 7 minutes is crucial. Because I have been thinking about this for a long, long time until I saw somebody discussing that today. So it explains a lot of things. So even though the party elders created this coordination body to keep Xi Jinping in check, they can involve themselves in the day-to-day operations of the government. Their focus is on personnel reshuffle, the Fourth Plenum preparation, and big issues like the US-China trade talks, which has been paused for now. So even though Xi Jinping has lost the core of his power, he's still the leader. His loyalists have been purged from the military and key posts, but many technocrats in government, in those ministries, still follow his orders because by training, that's what they do. So as long as Xi Jinping remains in his position, even in name only, his command chain isn't completely paralyzed. Now, one analyst estimates that Xi Jinping still controls about 10% of the military, 20% of personnel decisions, 50% of economic policy, 80% of foreign affairs, and nearly all propaganda. So on average, he still has 50% of the power left. So the CCP machine continues to operate as if Xi were fully in charge. Now, most technocrats within the ministries have to disregard what's really happening at the top and follow status quo, which gives Xi some room to maneuver. And to cover up his health crisis, his team likely instructed those bureaucrats in the foreign ministry, in the commerce ministry, and in the transport ministry to carry out the new directives. None of them would dare challenge their superiors in the CCP system. And remember, Premier Li Qiang, who oversees these ministries, is currently out of country in North Korea to attend Kim Jong-un's military parade. So that helps too. Now, Xi Jinping must be in such a bad shape that his people resorted to such drastic moves. And the goal is to buy time by creating chaos that the anti-Xi camp will have to clean up. Think about it. The party elders like Wen Jiabao, Wang Yang, Hu Chunhua have been leading the effort to repair relations with Washington. They've overseen approximately 6 months of trade talks. Now with this relations in free fall, all that work is wasted. In other words, the Xi camp wants to sabotage those efforts to create hostility between Trump and Beijing, forcing the anti-Xi faction to fight Trump or clean up the mess. It's a classic CCP tactic in times of crisis, which is create chaos so everyone else burns with you. So let's step back for a minute. Even if Xi Jinping isn't truly sick, okay, In the ruthless world of CCP politics, he may still use this tactic to cling to power at the Fourth Plenum. So I told you all the rationale behind the claim that it could be a move by Xi Jinping's team to cover up his health crisis. But I want to say that even if that's not the case, even if he didn't suffer a stroke, even if he's not ill, given the intensity of the power struggles going on right now, he may still use this tactic to cling to power at the Fourth Plenum. And Xi Jinping might have planned this series of economic blows against the United States long ago, like bombs planted in advance, waiting for the right moment. When the situation turned against him, he detonated them to create chaos. The more chaos, the better his odds are. Put simply, as long as China and the US are in confrontation, the CCP will have to rely on Xi Jinping's existing command structure to respond. And that gives him a path to reconsolidate power, to regain partial control over the party and the state, and most importantly, to influence the narrative of the coming Fourth Plenum. Here's what that means. Now, the Fourth Plenum, as we know, was originally set to discuss major personnel reshuffles and the new 15th five-year plan. But if a trade war erupts, if it gets ugly, that entire agenda will be shelved because national crisis always trumps internal politics. And also, Xi Jinping can declare a national emergency, citing U.S. hostility and provocation, right? State media under his control. Remember, he still controls 90% of the propaganda machine through Cai Qi. So state media could still frame it as internal power struggle is one thing, but a U.S.-China clash is an existential threat. So that's more important. And they may say, let's freeze the power transfer process by focusing on our existential crisis, right? So that may be the plan. Of course, this tactic could backfire because if the anti-Xi camp aligns with the United States to confront Xi Jinping, he's finished instantly. But I mean, from our view, that should have happened a long time ago. But why is not happening? Because Xi Jinping is betting that the party elders will not take that step. Because, as I mentioned in earlier programs, leaders like Hu Jintao are obsessed with legality and legitimacy, right? They want a smooth, orderly transition of power. They don't want to appear as though they've overthrown Xi. That obsession with peaceful transition emboldens Xi to gamble. This is exactly why it's happening. The elders' biggest mistake so far is keeping Xi Jinping around, is their obsession with this orderly transfer of power. This has given him the opportunity to stir up trouble. Now, meanwhile, in the West, there's so many experts and media outlets debating why Beijing behaved the way it did. There are many theories. They have been focusing on the impact of this trade war. Many people worry that, or many people share the view that Trump has been too soft on the CCP. I think they missed the point. For example, the Wall Street Journal quoted insiders claiming that China's expanded rare earth export controls were officially framed as retaliation against recent U.S. tech restrictions. But in reality, it was a carefully calculated power play inside Beijing. So according to these sources, the CCP believes Trump is eager to strike a deal, so it ramped up pressure, hoping the US would concede on tariffs and tech controls. So the journal added that this is part of Beijing's playbook. Whenever it senses weakness from Washington, it responds with an overly aggressive counteraction to intimidate and shift the balance of power. But I don't buy that explanation. This whole narrative is saying that it's a calculated move by Beijing. In my opinion, it's not, because it does not fit any of the three scenarios. Remember, I gave you three possibilities. This explanation fits in my scenario number one, which is that this is by design. This is Xi Jinping's play. Now, I just want to share a little bit of information on the Wall Street Journal. I think the Wall Street Journal missed the point because it's too close to the Xi camp. How do I know? Well, the journal is the only Western outlet that accurately predicted Xi Jinping's leadership lineup before the 20th Party Congress in 2022. Many Western media outlets offered their leadership lineup, but the journal came very close. It was very accurate. It was impressive at the time. Now that we know Xi Jinping changed the plan at the last minute, breaking his promises to party elders like Hu Jintao. So when Hu Jintao discovered it, he was escorted out of the meeting, right? So the current 7-member Politburo Standing Committee isn't the one Hu Jintao agreed to. It was rewritten by Xi Jinping last minute. But somehow the Wall Street Journal knew in advance, even before Hu Jintao did. Think about it. That's why I say the journal has special ties to the Xi Jinping faction. And so their explanation, and not just because of that, and because their explanation certainly, I mean, in my opinion, doesn't make sense, but it certainly helps Xi Jinping. This narrative, Wall Street Journal's narrative, helps Xi Jinping and the CCP, but it doesn't hold up. Now, interestingly, today on October the 11th, the CCP's official websites, state media's official websites, went eerily silent, right? You would think that the CCP launched a war against the United States. It would at least, follow up with some kind of ammunition. But all of a sudden it went dead. I mean, after those loud announcements on Thursday and Friday, and then now today is suddenly quiet. There was no response to Trump's outburst, right? Because Trump was loud. He was loud and clear. And strangely, there's no response from the Chinese side, none. So that silence is odd. If it's such a strategic move, then CCP style, their style is very predictable, right? So that silence likely means Beijing's leadership has been in emergency meetings, scrambling to figure out how to respond. I mean, there are two camps trying to fight with each other and trying to, I think the state media outlets are confused right now. They don't know what to say. So right now, the fire is lit and the regime is being roasted over open flames because neither the Trump administration nor the anti-Xi camp likes what Xi Jinping has done. So Trump put it bluntly on social media. He said, "I never thought it would come to this, but maybe as with all things, the time has come." He said, "It may cause short-term pain, but in the end, it will be very good for America or for the United States." Now, if the CCP chooses to stand its ground and fight, the outcome is obvious. The US will strike back even harder, faster, and more fiercely. Can Beijing really withstand that kind of blow? And if, on the other hand, it decides to quietly back down and seek reconciliation behind the scenes, I mean Beijing, right? That means Xi Jinping must go. Otherwise, how could Beijing explain what has happened? So you can't launch a Pearl Harbor style economic attack and then turn around and say, whoops, we made a mistake. Now, I think Trump might have left Beijing a small way out, because at a White House press conference, when a reporter asked him, if China rolls back this new export control, would you reconsider your response? And Trump replied, he said, we'll see. That's why I set the deadline for November 1st. We'll wait and see. But the problem is, will Beijing actually reverse the new export ban when the regime is so caught up in saving face? Because if it does reverse this crazy ban, it's going to lose face. So if it does, Xi Jinping has to go. If the Beijing does reverse the export ban, Xi Jinping has to go. There's no way he's going to survive the Fourth Plenum if the party elders are determined to reverse it. Now, if they don't reverse it, the regime will have to go, because there's no way they're going to be able, the regime will be able to withstand the type of economic consequences. So either way, they're trapped. Now, most of the debates outside China has focused on whether the United States can survive this rare earth war. I think that discussion is not necessary, because this conflict isn't so much about rare earth ban. I don't even think the CCP is serious about rare earth ban, because experts have pointed out that the CCP doesn't have the capability to actually track foreign companies in their use of China-sourced rare earth. So it doesn't have the capability to actually monitor to enforce the ban. So it has been, so if from day one it's a political move. It's the CCP. It's not so much about the ban. It's about making some loud noises to irritate Trump, so that Xi Jinping can possibly survive for another 2 years. Now, I think for the United States, the solution should be straightforward. Open communication with the anti-Xi faction. Make it clear that Xi Jinping and the communist system that he represents must go. China must embrace real political reform and a true market economy, or face a full-scale trade war and economic decoupling. Those individuals inside the party, those individuals spearheading the anti-Xi camp, I think still have the potential to steer China in a better direction, or in the right direction. But Xi Jinping has completely lost that. He has completely lost that. He must go. So if this shift happens within the next 9 days before the Fourth Plenum, China could see a historic transformation. And that meeting that starts on October 20th could trigger a domino effect, unlike anything we've seen in decades. Right? So our experts and media stop focusing on the technicality of the rare earth bans. It's meaningless. Even the CCP knows it doesn't have the means to execute the ban, because it doesn't know, like I said, doesn't know how to track the foreign companies using China's rare earth products. So from day one, the regime hasn't been serious about implementing it. It's just a political move. So our solution must be political and not technical. All right. So with that, I wrap up my Saturday Night Live, or the talk of my Saturday Night Live. All right, let's see. Wow, 4,000 people online. Let's see. Questions? Questions, comments, rumors, gossips? Anyways, I think this this th- there's never a dull moment in CCP politics. And I said October would be eventful, but every day we've seen something new coming out of Beijing, right? So I don't know what's going to happen next week. Stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed, please do that. All right. Well, let me acknowledge the people who gave me super stickers. Oh, here's one. I saw a blue one. Mercy J8M9S. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, let me, if you have questions, you should put my name in front so I know it's addressed to me. If not, I probably will miss that because there's so many comments here. Rod Dobson, how certain are you that she will be out of power by the end of the year? How certain I am? I know it's a very important question, and I don't want to give an irresponsible answer. Although anything could happen in CCP politics, but I just do not see how he's gonna cling to power, unless the reformists like Hu Jintao and these people and Zhang Youxia completely lost their will to fight. So I think the chances for him to cling to power is small. Is very small. Yeah. But you never know what's going to happen, you know. Like I said, he still holds 50%. He still has 50% of his power, his authority. So he could still cause troubles and drag China into a terrible situation. And then it also depends on, I mean, Xi Jinping's playbook is out in the open. People see, everybody see what he's going to do, right? This kind of provocation, this kind of, provocations is going to continue if his opponents are not going to stop him. So I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing to force the anti-Xi faction to be more determined in taking him down. Otherwise, he could start a war in South China Sea. He could start a war in the Taiwan Strait. He could cause more troubles for his opponent. So I think, judging by everything that has been that has happened in the last 2 weeks, I think the chances is not great for him to hold on to power. But there is a chance. We never say never. Thank you for the super sticker. All right, let me move on. Oh, here's one, a blue one. Louis Raymond. Well, thank you, Louis. Okay, all right, let's see. Next one is okay, I think scroll to the bottom. Let me pick some questions. All right, question. Thank you, Lei. Thank you. All right, thank you. Here's John Allen. Well, thank you, John, for being here. Okay. Godot asked the question, any maneuvers near Taiwan? Yeah, I think there are some provocative moves by the PLA. I mean, the Xi Jinping camp is seriously preparing for war. That was actually a topic I prepared to talk tonight. I actually wanted to talk about that on Thursday. And then this Xi Jinping having a stroke suddenly appeared. And now, today, I think this topic is more relevant because a lot of people are talking about rare earth, trade war, and I feel compelled to give some insight on this topic. So next week, we'll talk about whether or not or how the two factions are playing the war card. Yeah, and it's very interesting. All right, thank you. Terrence, thank you. Pressure drop 1. Excellent report, Lei. I always look forward to your program. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. Echoes of the Ancients. Wow, what a poetic name. Thank you. All right. Manny, Kyla. Well, thank you, Manny, for always being there. 高市早苗 is Sanae Takachi. Yes, that's the in both Japanese and Chinese. Does her name mean something in Chinese? No, 高市早苗. I don't want to translate it literally. It's like high market and early sprouts. Those of you who speak Chinese will laugh at me. Yeah, it means high market and early sprouts. No, that's not respectful to call her that. I'm sorry, but there's some Do you know the latest development in Japan? The Chinese is behind. I mean, there is a chance. I mean, Takaichi, I should say Takaichi, is facing a difficult situation because the other party, because her party does not have absolute majority, so they have partnered with a smaller political party for the past 26 years, in gaining enough vote for the leader of this party to be the prime minister. But then that party, I just don't remember the name, because all these political parties' names are very similar. But they just broke the partnership. After 26 years, they broke the partnership. But CCP is behind it. The party chief has been spotted to be meeting with the China's ambassador in the past couple of days. So China obviously has put pressure to break the partnership. So that means Takaichi, the woman who I respect a lot, she's phenomenal. So she has to find another partner. She has to bring in create a new alliance so that she has enough votes to win the premiership. The premiership. So that's, again, you see CCP's dirty hands behind it. Her winning the chairmanship of her party was a big blow to the CCP, because the CCP's plan is controlling the domestic politics of both South Korea and Japan, to turn both of these East Asian countries to be pro-Beijing or pro-CCP. And that leaves the United States to be without a partner in the region. And they're successful in South Korea, but they're not successful in Japan with the election of Ms. Takaichi. So now they're trying to create troubles for her by breaking the alliance. But I don't think they will be successful. I think they will find another. They will create an alliance. She will have enough votes. Anyways, all right. Let's see. Here's one. Ellen Barris. Thank you, Ellen. I appreciate that. Okay. Question. Oh, anonymous. Trump was too weak and delicate with CCP, and now they have him on the ropes. CCP agent Elon's mission was super successful and will dividends for decades. Well, I think you have to factor in. I think Trump was given. I mean, if the Trump was in direct conversation with Xi Jinping's opponents, with the party elders, then what he did makes sense. Because why start a war when all you have to do is wait a couple of months until Xi Jinping steps down and somebody who is friendlier towards the US will take over, and then you can start negotiate with them, right? I mean, anyone would wait. I mean, why do you start the fight with Xi Jinping? And then let's say if Trump was heavy-handed with the CCP, then Xi Jinping can use that to legitimize his indefinite rule. Because if Trump played heavy-handed, let's say in the past 6 months, then Xi Jinping would say, see, our biggest crisis right now is the United States. All your sufferings are the results of Donald Trump and the United States. So you don't want to play into that, right? So, but then the last move was just too much. So, yeah. But I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if Trump has been talking to the anti-Xi camp. So that's all I can say. I think, with the amount of intelligence the United States have, even if I have figured out that, if I know so much about what's going on in Zhongnanhai, US intelligence must know. So they know more than I do. So there's no way that they don't. So. All right, we'll see. I think if you judging by what Trump said, he said that this is not a bad thing. He hinted that rather than wait, let's just take care of it once for all. Yeah, it could be a short-term pain, but it's good for the United States in the long run. I mean, that's exactly. I mean, it hinted that he's been waiting. He's been giving them time to sort out their internal business. But he has no problem with going forward to strike, the CCP. So that's what it suggests, from the look of it, from what he said. But geopolitics is very complex. Richard Hinman, if China can track the companies that use rare earth, doesn't the U.S. know this? So why is it taking the export ban seriously? Well, you still have to. I mean, as a government, you still have to, because you can't just say, all right, well, they're just saying it. I mean, in US companies can take that position, right? US companies that import China rare earth products can take that as a position, but US government cannot. You have to respond. So, Dennis McNeil. Well, thank you, Dennis. Okay, here's a question forwarded by Chris from Paul Morris. Lei, do you think President Trump will ban Chinese students from entering US colleges? And how would Chinese leadership view that? I think it doesn't make sense to ban all Chinese students. I think it depends on what they study, who they are, and their background. It will hurt our colleges because it is money. It is business for our colleges and universities. So it depends on the students, who they are, and what they study. If they study arts, liberal arts, philosophy, I mean, why not? It's good for them. But I think we should ban the children of CCP officials, or grandchildren of CCP officials. They're doing more damages, because these are the red guard, the new red guards, that will do everything they can to protect the regime, regardless of their background. They could have grown up in the US. They could have attended private schools here, prep schools and colleges, went to the best colleges and even obtained master's or PhD degrees. They could speak flawless English, but their agenda, their goal is to protect their family's interest in China. We have seen so many of them out there, right? Do we see these so-called professors and quote-unquote experts, defending Xi Jinping in major Western institutions? check out who their parents are and their grandparents are, and you will know why they may not believe what they say, but they I mean professionally, but they force themselves to say it because it's to protect their family's interest in China. Yeah. Wes Downer, you and I and Trump know that these trade negotiations are going nowhere, but it's difficult to explain this to the average Americans. Yes, you're right. These trade negotiations go nowhere. I think Trump should just get involved in CCP politics and set things straight. You know, just make sure that Xi Jinping steps down in 9 days. Tell them, like I said, tell them straight out. And they will listen. Seriously, they will listen. I think Trump should straighten them out. YouTube user Lei, have you heard about any rifts developing in the lower ranks of the PLA? Are salary cuts causing discontent in the PLA? I think there are, yeah, I think there are some. I have not heard that lately, but I have seen many veteran groups protesting because they're not getting their benefits. I think the PLAs are probably still paid. I have not seen anything lately. All right. Wow, lot of comments. Oh, hold on, let me just. Martin Drew, Lei, do Chinese people give children self-esteem names now, or are they still named doorknob and conduit and flat sound? What do you mean? You mean Chinese? How do Chinese parents pick names for their children? Well, the Chinese children are given all these kind of poetic and beautiful names that has good meaning. I don't really know because I don't know a lot of Chinese parents, but all the Chinese names look nice. They're better than my Chinese name. My parents give me a boy's name, Lei, and people always say, "Oh, are you the flower Lei?" And I said, "No, I'm not. I'm the honest Lei." The Guangming Lei Luo, the Lei made up of 3 pieces of stone, very stubborn, but very honest and straightforward. But that's a name usually for boys, not for girls. Yeah, the girls' Lei is usually the flower Lei, but I'm not. I'm the tough one. I'm the tough Lei. All right. Seek the truth. Any update on South Koreans protesting their new CCP-leaning government? I have seen like protests, here and there, but I haven't really followed the development. No, I'm sorry, I haven't. Chu Yan. Okay, there's a Dao. There's I don't know how to pronounce. Maybe a Chinese name. Chu Yan Dao. Thank you, Lei. Well, thank you. All right. Wow, a lot of people here. Oh, Matthew Morgan. Lei, what do you think of President Netanyahu's comments about China being one of the biggest obstacles in the Middle East? Well, he spoke the truth. That is the case. China is behind Hamas. China was behind Syria. I mean, China is behind a lot of the troublemakers. That is a true statement. So what I find it puzzling is why do people only start speaking out this truth now? And also like what's his name? The president of Ukraine, Zelensky, is now also saying that China is behind Russia. I mean, they know this for years since the war broke out. They knew this, but everyone kept quiet. Why people are so afraid to publicly acknowledge the troubles the CCP has been making around the world? So that's what puzzles me. It should have been said a long time ago, right? Okay. All right. Alan Mandel, excellent work. Is there a large black market for a rare supply of earth? And will any country ever rely on any? That may be, yeah, I think a lot of Chinese. You brought up a good point. I think the black market rare earth in the rare earth black market in China would do very well. Trust me, the Chinese are all thinking, hey, how do I smuggle some rare earth products out of China to make some money? Because there's a demand and I have access to supply. And you know what? Beijing may never catch them. Oh my goodness, that's a good point. You just made you just gave some Chinese an idea to make some money. All right, Brian Cow, Brain Kua. Well, thank you, Brian. Thank you. Here's a question from Pass Z Word. Lei, if the power changes, do you think the new Chinese leader, who sounds relaxed, could open up the internet to the outside world? I think he will not open up unless we give him enough pressure. That's what I think President Trump should give the new leader. Before he agrees anything, he should give the new leadership or the new leader the pressure to open up the internet. Yeah. This is the time for the world leaders to push China to do that. That's a good point. Well, thank you for bringing that up. All right. Norbert Claus, Lei, this cannot be a calculated move. It results from a feeling of a single person of losing power. Everything would change within 10 days, if not earlier. Do you believe that too? Yes. This cannot be a calculated move. Despite how the Wall Street Journal phrased it, it's not a calculated move, even by CCP's standard. No. All right. Thank you very much for all the attention you've given me. Let's see. Do I see? Oh, more Bork Floyd. Thank you. Is that Bork? Am I saying it right? Yeah. Somebody say seafood soup. That sounds good. Chicken rice soup. People talking about food here. All right. All right, here we go. Okay, I already answered that. Oh, here's one. Though la lam chai. Thor la lam chai. Lei, you are so insightful, and I've watched many other channels that reference your information. Speaking of rare earth, what is your take on Trump, Xi, and the effects on the stock market? I lost money today. I think, well, I think we should give it some time. Yeah, today the market reacts, but that's not necessary. I think next week we may see. I hope more people, I mean, once people understand what's driving this, then they will not panic. So more people should watch my program so they understand exactly what's happening. Right? So, but I feel bad that people lost money. Yeah. It's bad. But thank you for your support. Thank you for your support. Okay, Corey, is it all possible this is just a play to make it easier to fully remove Xi, aka what you said that they should do, but maybe they already wanted to? So if you're saying that, like I said, that's the scenario number 3 that I said, that it was a move by the party elders to blame everything on Xi Jinping when they reap the benefits of the negotiation. It's not likely. It's possible, but it's not likely because it's too risky. Because if the party elders' goal is to build good relations with the United States, this move could anger Trump, and the things could be out of control. So it's possible in theory, but in practice, I doubt it. I highly doubt it. Wow. Okay. Here's one. Manny Kyla, what happens to BRICS when CCP falls down? BRICS is already in names only. I mean, it doesn't really do much. It's only, I mean, what does BRICS accomplish? What has it accomplished so far? It's just all rhetorics, narratives. Okay. All right. I think oh, here's one. Martin. Well, thank you, Martin. Long live Taiwan. Yes. Oh, happy double 10. That was yesterday. All right. Someone, okay. All right. People talking about food. 肉夹馍. I saw that somewhere. Alan Mendel again. Please comment of fallout of the component or the chip Chinese chip maker. I haven't followed that. I need to look into that before I can tell you about it. There's so much going on in China right now. I mean, the economy, I've been trying to follow that and it's looking crazy. Okay, but I will hopefully I'll find time next week to talk about that. All right. I have reached the bottom and acknowledge everyone who has given me super stickers. I truly thank you for your support and thank you for joining my live streams. And it's Saturday night or Sunday morning, so enjoy the rest of your weekend. I think I will end it here. So come back next week for more information on CCP politics and China's economy and its status quo. All right, bye.